Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thrilled to have you along. I have a special guest today. Her name is Veena Singh, and she is such a wonderful spirit. I really wanted to bring her into the studio to talk about the chakras. Now, you hear a lot about that in the news and mainstream media about yoga and chakras and Reiki. But I really wanted to speak with Veena because she and I have actually been on a spiritual journey since, oh my goodness, this has been about 6 years, maybe even 7. We first met at the Chopra Center's event called
Seduction of Spirit.
Seduction of Spirit. Absolutely. And I was thrilled that Deepak Chopra actually came to Atlanta, to Stone Mountain, with his event because it can be pretty pricey, but lucky me, he landed in my backyard, and I went and I met so many wonderful people. But Veena was one of the ones that became a long-term friend. So we've actually been spiritual motivators for each other ever since. A lot of the information that she's able to share today, I wanted to share with you because it has been instrumental in shifting my perspective, especially when things go wrong in life or not as you expect it to. There are reasons for that. And Veena and I were going to just allow you to listen in on our conversation. So hoping that you will pull away some nuggets of wisdom that will actually help you in your life. So that's our hope. That's our prayer today. Veena, welcome.
Thank you, Felesha, and thank you for inviting me. You're an awesome author and friend and have a lot of spiritual knowledge. And, thank you. I mean, I really do hope to benefit others through this conversation.
I absolutely think you will. And thank you for mentioning my book, Brave Leap to Freedom. Actually, I was in the middle of writing that book when I first met you. And I actually acknowledged you among other people who really were instrumental in my spiritual growth. I acknowledged you in my book. So
yes, thank you. I mean, I was very touched by that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's interesting. So when you gather and participate in events like Seduction of Spirit, it brings together people of like mind, yes, but it also speaks to people who are in troubled times in their lives, and they're really trying to search for different answers, because a lot of us are programmed either by our culture or by the way we're educated, or even through the media. We're programmed to think and believe certain ways. And there comes a time, at least in my life, that nothing worked. Nothing that I knew worked. And that's one reason why I was drawn to Seduction of Spirit. How about you? What's your experience? Because you travel to events like this all of the time.
Yes, I think my main purpose to going to these spiritual events is to gather in my toolbox the tools that I need to stay balanced and centered no matter what is going on around you. And I love that event. And we did work on our chakras there, if you remember that.
We did. Mm-hmm.
We covered, I think, one chakra every day at least. And we did a lot of meditations. And the energy was just so high at that event because it was just amazing.
And you could physically feel, you hear people talk about all of the time, the vibration of a person or the vibration of a room. So for those of you who are listening and watching, I'll give you an example of that. So think about the last time you entered a room and you felt the energy of the room pull you down, or you felt the energy of a person send off an alarm in you to recognize that that person was either not good for you or that there were some bad vibes coming from that person. So when Veena and I are talking about the energy in the room or the vibration, that is really what we're speaking to. So to speak to your observation, Veena, the energy in that room, the vibration in that room was so high. I have not personally experienced anything like that outside of, maybe a few times in my religious practice in church. I've experienced that, but it is such a high vibration. It almost feels healing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes. And also we did a lot of activities over there. Remember, we were dancing,
Yes,
which made the vibration high. We
it
went
does.
out in nature,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
helps raise your vibration. We did a lot of mantras.
Yes, and laughter. And
Yes,
laughter raises your vibration as well. So Vina is actually speaking to some of the things that you can do at home to
yes.
raise your vibration, to get you out of a funk, if you will.
Yes, there's so many things we can do. Even if one item that I purchased at that event was also this necklace.
That's
It's
beautiful.
a it's a chakra necklace, so it's supposed to help balance your chakras. And when we do talk more about the chakras, each chakra is represented by a color. So, and each chakra has a purpose. So whenever I'm feeling sluggish or uh, you know not feeling so good, I try to work on my chakras to feel more centered and balanced, because our natural state is to be centered and balanced.
And I did not realize that that idea was never presented to me until I went to the Chopra event.
Hmm.
That our humanness is supposed to be in a state of balance, but
Peace.
and peace, and that's
Yes.
what is considered homeostasis, where
Hmm.
the mind, the body, and the spirit are all functioning in a way that is of our highest elevation here on
Hmm.
earth. Um, so for those who are listening and watching, Vina, I would love you to speak to what mind, body, spirit means to you.
Well, the entire universe is made up of energy, and your body is no exception to that. And we're not just physical bodies. All living things carry a life force within them. And all living things are composed of these energy centers, which are known as chakras.
Yes.
So our body has 7 main chakras, and the meaning of chakra is wheel. And it is because life force, or prana, the Sanskrit word is prana, that moves inside of you is spinning and rotating. The spinning energy has 7 centers in your body, and I'm going to show you a picture of that. Now, it's starting at the base of your spine and moving all the way to the top of your head. In a healthy person, the 7 chakras provide exactly the right amount of energy to every part of your mind, body, and spirit. However, if one of your chakras is too open and spinning too quickly, or if it's too closed and moving too slowly, then your health will suffer. Okay, so by learning about the 7 chakras, you become more in tune with the natural energy cycles of your body. And you can use this information to connect physical, emotional, and spiritual imbalances with the chakras. And then you can empower those areas that need empowering. And, in this, it's a lot of information for this conversation,
Yes.
but anyone interested in the chakras, there's a lot of information out there. There's like I have here a chakra Bible, and go ahead and look for books or look on the internet. But there's many there's loads and boatloads of information. Now, if I can go through each chakra,
Yes.
just give a brief description, and maybe I'll go back to this little picture here if that'll help.
That would be great.
Yes. Okay. The chakra on the bottom, on the very bottom of the spine, that is known as the root chakra. And I'm very big on mantras because I grew up in a Hindu family. And when I need to work on my chakras, if I'm not feeling so good, I will say the mantra for each of the chakras. So, and I think I've done that with you, Felesha, where I'll say, let's work on our chakras, and we'll go sit somewhere, and together you and I would say the mantra for that chakra.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even at the Chopra Center, we did that too. And people, there's many ways to balance that, your chakras. That mantras are just one way. Some people like to use healing stones, which here's an example of stones. Some people like to walk out in nature. There's many methods to balance your chakras, but the root chakra, if it's balanced, that means stability, grounding, physical health, prosperity, and trust. So if you're a grounded person, you will feel stable. You will not have fears about money or lack. Here, an overactive root chakra would mean monotony, hoarding, greed, materialism, invulnerable, paranoid, and defensive. Okay. And the underactive one would mean fearful, lack of good boundaries, resistance, vulnerable, self-doubting, defensive, lack of discipline, and trust. So sometimes, we all get those emotions, no matter how spiritual you are. But if I'm feeling a certain way, I try to connect that to which chakra do I need to work on. And I do work on that chakra. If I can move on to the second chakra, which is a little bit above, about a little above the root chakra, that's about an orange color. And that chakra is, that's called the sacral chakra. And a balanced sacral chakra means pleasure, healthy sexuality, ability to express desires, emotions, and feelings. It's also creativity. It's your creativity center. So if it's overly active, you'll be over emotional, poor boundaries, obsessive, attachments, compulsive, and isolated. And if it's underactive, rigidity, emotional numbness, fear of pleasure, needy, dependent, and possessive. Now, one other thing I would like to add is, each of these chakras is also tied to your physical body. So if like you have lower back pain, maybe that means you need to work on your root chakra. So sometimes you got to see where the physical pain exists in your body, and then work on the chakra that's in that particular area of your physical body. So
Absolutely.
just wanted to add that in. Now, the chakra I love to work on is the solar plexus chakra, and that has the mantra Ram, and that is your power center. So a balanced one is you have vitality, spontaneity, strength of will, purpose, high level of self-esteem, and high level of self-esteem does not mean arrogance, because if arrogance is an imbalanced chakra, low confidence is an imbalanced chakra. So we want to be balanced. So that's why we need to keep our chakras healthy. And so for that chakra, the solar plexus chakra, if it's overly active, some of the characteristics are blaming, resentful, explosive, controlling others, judging, dominating, aggressive, scattered, constantly active. And the underactive chakra would mean weak will, poor self-esteem, passive, apathetic, sluggish, fearful, blaming yourself or blaming others, or you're controlled by others. That indicates a weak solar plexus chakra. So sometimes, if I'm not in my power, if I'm, kind of feeling a lack of power, some ways I work on that chakra. I'll do mantras on that chakra. I also have mugs and jewelry, and I'll say, you know what, I'm not feeling like I'm in my power today. So I'll kind of grab my yellow mug and just kind of remind myself to stay in my power, not to feel weak, and just strengthen myself. So,
yes.
so
I love
Yes.
that. I love that about you. And it kind of reminds me of, you know, how sometimes you hear people say, oh, well, I don't feel like wearing that color today. I feel like wearing this color today. Well, it goes even beyond whether or not you want to wear pink today or black today. The neat thing about the chakras is that you can empower yourself energetically by wearing the corresponding colors that you need to work on. So like Vina is saying, if you feel like you're not in your power, or you're a little nervous about standing up for yourself, wearing yellow is a constant reminder that, you know, you need to remember to do that. But this is one way that we become more self-reliant, and we
Mm-hmm.
also reclaim our power by making sure that we are responsible. You're responsible for your own outcome. And this is a wonderful way to take that responsibility back. Vina, before you go to the fourth chakra, the heart chakra,
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you if you can make any correlation with those lower chakras in how we're experiencing life now, especially in the news. It's many of those characteristics that you named, from the root chakra to the solar plexus, really speaks to the resistance that we're noticing in the news these days, wouldn't you think?
Yes, I completely agree. There's a lot of fear energy out there, and that's probably making people feel uh, not grounded and not safe. And they probably need to work on their root chakra more when they're feeling unsafe. And it's just important to detach from the news that's affecting your energy. Go out for a walk in nature. Uh, do you know, even one thing I like to do when I'm feeling not grounded, I love to go on my grass barefoot and just feel connected to Mother Earth, just ground myself.
Yeah.
So yes, so I think it's important when you're feeling fearful or feeling overwhelmed, just do things to just, you know, you got to work maybe on your power center, you know, work on your faith, you know, take action as you need it and are guided to do. But just, you know, if you fall into fear energy, that's just not going to help the situation. It's just going to make it worse.
It makes it worse because that's the energy that you're gravitating toward, and
Yes.
it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So the way that Vina is recommending that you approach that energy that you feel is to take ownership of how you can get back to your center. So I'll give you an example, Vina, with all of the things that's been happening on the news, with the white supremacy, um, and also the police brutality, and a lot of things that the Black community is really experiencing. I started watching this documentary just before this interview, as a matter of fact, and it's called Black America Before ML King. And
Mm-hmm.
as I was watching it, I really felt my energy draining. I felt
Mm-hmm.
myself in sadness and mourning for
Mm-hmm.
not really experiencing life in the way that I was told, from the 60s until the 90s, that if you were a good girl, if you went to school, and if you know, walked this path, you would experience prosperity. And it just seemed, through watching the history, that
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't necessarily true, that there were a lot of inner workings behind the scenes that actually were the center of pulling a lot of um, aspiration out from under the community as a whole. So what I did to get my energy back up, I started to, first of all, I had to turn the TV off,
Mm-hmm.
and only take as much information as I could take to stay in good spirit. And then when I felt myself leaving that, I had to turn the TV off and meditate for a while. And
Yes.
in my meditation, I started to bring myself back to center. So what Vina was saying, though, if you're in fear and you're just thinking about fear and you continue to think about fear, it just gets worse. So
Right. It.
it's not divorcing you from living your life and doing the things that you need to do in your life. it's actually a wonderful way to pull yourself back to center so that you have clarity and understanding, and you can put those energies in to better use, as opposed to the lower vibration of fear, which is what we're experiencing now.
Yes, and fear stands for forgetting everything's all right.
Mm.
There is a lot of stuff out there, and I mean, I'm not saying don't take part in, like if you want to help animals or people, whatever we do, we shouldn't focus on the negative. We should focus on, I want to help that homeless center. And sometimes you walk in those places and the energy is low.
Yeah.
But your energy can change a room.
It can. Mm-hmm. And that's why I have Vina on the show today, is to help you get centered. So whatever you're called to do in this lifetime, try not to act in a place of fear or lack. Try to take that personal responsibility back. And we're giving you tools today to do that, to do just that.
Yes, I mean, if you have a good energy and if you walk in a room that has a bunch of people that are glum and down, you can make the difference with your energy and, uplifting others. So we need to keep our energy good, and that will help. I think it's contagious. This world would be a better place if people were at a better energy level.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, another thing, and I'm glad, you did mention it. Sometimes, like, I have a yellow shirt and, I go in my closet and I see the different colors, and I work with colors a lot now, ever since I got into the chakras. But, sometimes I go, well, I'm feeling creative today, so I'll wear orange. Or I want to, stand in my personal power, so I'll wear yellow. Or, these colors do represent, and since I know the chakras well enough, I know what the colors represent. So, based on my mood, I'll I'll pick a color based on that. And, also food.
Vina, I'm glad you mentioned food. So you guys picture the chakras like the colors of a rainbow. The belief is if you correspond those colors with your chakras, it can easily help you balance your mood or any type of anxiety. So when it comes to food, as Vina just mentioned, you would nurture your body like tasting the rainbow. Yeah, literally. For example, the root chakra is red, so you would eat things like red apples, raspberries, strawberries, tomatoes. The second chakra is orange. You would eat things like orange squash or pumpkin, yams. And the third chakra, it's yellow. So you would eat corn, pineapples, yellow peppers. And for the heart chakra, of course, you would eat green. So I'm really big on my green drinks, Vina. How about you?
Yes.
Your host, Felesha Love. Thank you for joining the journey to better quality of life. Log on to myspiritfitness.com to see what's new and to answer today's wellness poll.
We're back with Vina Singh. She's trained in chakra balancing and also Reiki. Vina, where did we leave off with the chakras now?
The next chakra we needed to talk about was the heart chakra, which is a green color. So sometimes if you're not forgiving, and what this balanced heart chakra would be, is that you would have compassion, self-acceptance, self-love for others and for yourself, and good relationships. Now, if it's overly active, meaning imbalanced, codependency, poor boundaries, possessive, jealous, impatient, super mature, or dissatisfied, and if it's underactive, shy, lonely, isolated, lack of empathy, bitter, critical, depressed, jealous, super immature. But that center is also the forgiveness center. Forgiveness for yourself and forgiveness for others. So say, like, you're having trouble forgiving somebody, and things do happen to us in life where we do have trouble forgiving others, and that's sometimes our indicator we need to work on that chakra. So, the mantra for that chakra is yam, or you can even have stones or jewelry, or, I have a little green mug, or I can eat leafy greens, or wear green clothing. These are just reminders to, just work on that chakra. And forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I strongly believe in karma. So, I don't need to take revenge or be jealous or anything like that, or be angry. It just only hurts me. I mean, of course, take action if you need to. If you need to make a healthy boundary, somebody's doing something wrong to you, yes, you need to take action.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to take action, but just not to get into negative emotions that will just make the situation worse. And even, many people that are unforgiving, they get a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's very important. Your emotions affect your physical body. So it's very important to keep your emotions balanced so that your physical body can be more healthy.
That is so true. So Zena actually gave you an example. If you have lower back pain, you may look at your root chakra for the root of the problem, no pun intended. But usually, if you have very low energy in any one of these energy centers, it will play out in the real world. I'll give you an example. Zena hasn't gotten to the throat chakra, but this absolutely happened to me, and I will go to my grave in conviction that the reason why it happened is to show me that energy in our body is really real.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through a divorce, and well, actually, this was before the divorce. I had come to a place where I knew I needed to ask for the divorce, but I didn't want to say it. I did not want to verbalize it. I didn't want to face what would the fallout after after saying that. I had 2 children at the time. I didn't want to know what I was going to do as a single parent, so I held on to that energy. Well, I was in radio, and I kept getting sore throat, laryngitis, and the other one was not strep throat.
Oh.
Talked to the doctor, and he had subscribed the fact that I needed to get my tonsils taken out. So I was all set for that and made the appointment and everything. A week before, I did say that I wanted a divorce, that I was very unhappy, and here's the reason why. So I spoke out. When I did that, and that was 2001, can I tell you, I've never had a case of laryngitis. I've never had strep throat since then, but all of that energy accumulated in my throat. And it wasn't until I addressed the issue that I was relieved from the symptom. So, think about that lower back pain you may be having, or the chronic headaches that you may be having, or the joints, the tension or discomfort in your hips or elbows or shoulders. All of this lends itself to the energy centers. Even Carolyn Neese calls it the anatomy of the spirit. Mind, body, and spirit. That's exactly what we're talking about here today.
Yes, exactly. You weren't speaking your truth, and it was causing, and that's your throat chakra. That's the blue chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And me too. Like if I want to make sure I express myself the way that I need to in a meeting or something. So I may have my blue mug that day because that conversation is very important, and I want the words to come out correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, exactly. The throat chakra is the fifth one, and oops, there, my screen went away, but I'll bring that right back. All right, there it is. Okay, so that chakra, if it's balanced, your communication will be clear, it'll be graceful, it'll be creative expression of will. You'll be able to speak your truth, your feelings. And if it's overly active, arrogant, shameless, tyrant, excessive talking, inability to listen, overextending, or stuttering.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's underactive, fear of speaking. So you had an underactive chakra.
Yeah.
If you fear of speaking, poor rhythm, worthless, less than, or if you're shamed. So if you, or lack of confidence, if you're not speaking your truth, if you're not confident, if you're nervous, of what you need to speak, you need to work on that chakra. And you know what, since I've been working on my throat chakra, I have been more confident. I mean, I still prepare myself.
Mm-hmm.
I still prepare for important meetings, but I'm not as nervous as I used to be when I didn't work on that chakra.
That's right. You're standing in your power. You've
Mm-hmm.
reclaimed your self-confidence, and therefore you're functioning better at work, at home, at school, in intimate relationships. You guys, this works. It totally works. And let me say, before Vina goes to the seventh chakra, are we on six? Five. Sixth chakra.
Yeah, sixth one. Yeah.
Third eye. Let me say that this information is ancient wisdom. It is ancient wisdom, and
Yes.
many cultures have used this, but it stems from heavy use with Hinduism, some Christianity, sacraments as well, and the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. So this is not something that Vina and I have just made up or Googled.
Yeah. There's a lot. Yes, we've done a lot of work on this, and just like me, when my screen went blank, I could have gone to pieces over that, but I just like, oh, my screen went blank, I'll get it back. It's just important. Like some people, they break to pieces over small things like that.
Right,
and
traffic.
Yeah, and it's important. If you're balanced, oh, no big deal. Just keep yourself balanced. Things are going to happen.
You know what balance means to me? It means that I am in control. Now, not in control over outer circumstances. Please hear me, guys. Not in control over outer circumstances, because a lot of that we are not in control of, and we're learning that more and more in the news today. But you are absolutely in control over your inner circumstances. So how you manage your emotions is what Vina is speaking to. How you manage the information that you digest. Do you get into fear and over respond or overact? You can be in control by learning these tips and tools about the chakras and how to use it. And everybody uses it differently. But we're just here to let you know of some of the things that you can do here today at home to make your life more balanced.
Right. And we're in control of our reaction. Okay. Things happen, to us or others we love and care about on the news, but we don't have a control, like you said, of the outer circumstances always, but we have to try to control how we react.
Absolutely.
That's the important thing to get from this. So moving on to the third eye chakra, and like Felesha said, this has ancient wisdom. And you probably know, like if you see many Indian women, they have a dot right here. And many people ask me about that dot. And that is your spiritual eye is right here. If you go to Hindu religious events, they usually put a dot right here. And that is your spiritual eye. That's, that gives you your intuition. Some people get visions or premonitions from that. But, the mantra for that one is Sham. And a balanced one means that you have the ability to clearly see what is. And you can use your intuition. You have faith. You are not in fear. You know that, there's more than just this physical existence. There's a spiritual existence. Now, as you get into your upper chakras, you are getting into more spirituality. And people who are stuck in their lower chakras, like somebody has a drinking problem, alcoholism, they are stuck in those lower chakras of fear, depression, and their upper chakras are blocked in those instances. Whereas if you have your upper chakras balanced, you are more connected to your divine self.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
And describe, Vina, for those who are listening and watching, what the world would be like if we were not stuck in our root chakra with that, survival instinct, that fear of lack, there's not enough, the jealousy, the power, the hunger for power. All of those are lower chakra issues that we're dealing with now. But explain to people what the world might be like if we were actually operating in health from our upper chakras, from the heart to speaking our truth to the sixth chakra.
Well, if people are in their upper chakras, they're not competitive with others, jealousy, you wish others well, that there's a lot of people at work, they're competitive with you or they're backstabbing. Competition stems from fear and greed and, stealing, robbery. If people were operating, with, the lower chakras are just as important as the upper chakras, to be balanced. But if people were more balanced, if the world was more full of balanced people as far as their chakras being balanced, then I think there would be more harmony, there would be more peace, there'd be more love, more caring for one another, more kindness, more compassion, more forgiveness. It would definitely be a different world.
Definitely be a different world.
Yes. And, and we've all had to deal with people, actually I've gotten to the point where if someone is jealous of me or competing with me, I actually have compassion for that person, because if you're competing with somebody, it's kind of like telling the universe, well, you don't have enough for me, so I have to compete with that person. But the universe has enough for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we just have to do, the universe is not Santa Claus. We still have to do our action and our duty. And, the person I compete with is myself.
Becoming a better version of yourself. Absolutely.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And, and when others do well, I wish them well. I'm not like, if someone outdoes me on something, I wish them well. I give it my best shot. But it's, people trying to win through backstabbing, through harming others. It's just, they just need compassion because there's something unhealed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And I always wish others well. We're all on a journey. We're all on our own individual journey. We're all at different places on our journey. We're all evolving, and I love for people to evolve. And, there's really no right and wrong. It's just everyone's on their own journey and their own path with their own lessons.
Which is one reason why it's very important to cultivate compassion in your life. You've seen many times, you and I can look at a movie and interpret it totally different. Mm-hmm. Based on our background, based on the spiritual journey that we're on, we may not see it exactly the same way. And so in order to move forward on your spiritual journey, it is necessary to have compassion for what's going on and allow the person to be who they need to be in their life, because they too are on a spiritual journey.
Right. And to stay out of judgment. There are so many things that are easy to judge, but we don't know what's going on inside of that person that we're judging. We don't know what they've been through. We don't know what their life experiences are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And right. So, it doesn't mean we allow others to harm us or anything like that. We still got to take action. And maybe we're the teacher for that person.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
if you would, the seventh chakra, the crown chakra.
Yes, the crown chakra, and that's on the crown of your head. And that, if it's balanced, wisdom, knowledge, consciousness, and spiritual connection. You even see love for your enemy. You see that enemy as a divine soul. And if it's overly active, overly intelligent, spiritual addiction, confusion, dissociation, it's underactive, learning difficulties, spiritual skepticism, limited beliefs, materialism, apathy. So if you're at your highest center, you see that everyone has God in them. Everything's connected to God's source. That is where you're connecting to God, angels, whatever your belief system is. That is just an amazing place to be. Like Jesus even said, pray for your enemies. I mean, you have no anger towards your enemies. You're just at just a wonderful place. And I think that's where you can connect to your, when I try to work on that chakra, when I try to meditate and get answers from God, I like, to get those answers, through my, you get it through your crown chakra. Yeah. That means you're connecting. Mm-hmm. So you're connecting to spirit, you're connecting to God. So we're all one. We're all in this game of life together, and we're all at different places. Mm-hmm. And we just have to remember that that we're all here on the earth for a purpose. Everyone's got a different purpose. And and if people who are operating from their higher chakras are more as many of my Christian friends would say, connected to God's will. And if we're in those areas that are not our true selves, and our true self is to be balanced. If we're not balanced, then we might act in a way that isn't in our true selves. That's right. That's just, yeah.
That's right. And that's what it means to be on a spiritual journey, I believe, Ina, and correct me if you feel differently. But as we evolve with age and with circumstances and challenges, all of those are lessons to do things differently in your bedpost. Well, the first few times may hurt your feelings. The next time you may be angry. Well, finally, there comes a time where you say, you know what, let me change the angle of this so I don't have to stub my toe anymore. So that's growth, that's learning. And we all do that. No matter age, we continue on our journey to look at things differently. So that's one reason why I really appreciate this ancient wisdom. I did not grow up knowing this information. It wasn't taught to me until my 40s, as a matter of fact. But I'm such a better person for knowing this knowledge and applying these tools. I can't imagine where I would be on my spiritual journey without it.
Yes, everything comes into your life as a lesson or a blessing. And, when, of course, if we can look back to our 20s, we were different people back then. We were at a different place on our spiritual journey. A lot of times a life event will put you on your spiritual journey, a tough life event. Like you said, many people were probably at the Chopra event for that reason, and some people, they turn to spirituality in the hard times, and some people turn to addictions. And
yes, that's very true. That is very true. And all of it is to cope, right? So you either turn to your faith or your spiritual tools, or you turn to an addiction. But those two options are there because you need a way to cope with what's going on in your life. So why not, even if you don't know anything about the chakras, why not study it a little bit more and apply it to your life and use it as an option to perhaps, an addiction? It's a lot easier to learn something educationally than it is with a substance that you may be locked in for the next 10 years. So why not try it?
Yes, and these substances can cause all kinds of health problems like drinking or drugs, or they're not healthy for your body.
Exactly. Which keeps your body out of balance.
Right. And, I love this little saying here, and I'm going to say it. It says, live in the spirit. And I think this is from the Bible. people. And, I'm Hindu, but, I'm open to whatever path the person chooses for themselves, because it's very personal. It's very individual.
I'm glad you mentioned
But
that. I'm the same way.
yes. Yeah. So I say live by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the sinful nature. And sin means missing the mark. You're not going in accordance with the divine will or God's divine plan for you. For the sinful nature desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to sinful nature. They are in conflict with each other, so that you do not do what you want. The acts of sinful nature are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity and debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, when I read this, it reminded me of the chakras, because all these acts of sinful nature that is described here are shown on my paper as an imbalanced chakra.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the ones that say by the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kind, goodness, those were all in the balanced category of a chakra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's amazing. Talk about ancient wisdom, right? So
Yes.
this wonderful information, like I said, can come to you based on your religion. And for those of you who don't practice a religion, the same still holds true in your body. Your mind, body, and spirit are not balanced if you are experiencing things with negative energy, either from your heart or from the way you think or the things that you put in your mouth. All of that's negative energy. And if you continue to do that, you will experience imbalances. On the contrary, if you start to feed yourself more positive energy, like things that you listen to, limiting your being in the company of people with low energy, eating good foods, thinking good thoughts, then you are in a higher vibration. So whether you believe the chakras or not, it still exists. I'm just telling you.
Yes. And you're right. What you put in your body, alcohol, too much caffeine, it's going to cause imbalance. It's important to have, sometimes, like, if I'm not feeling very grounded, I might eat a red apple, because that's your root chakra. Mm-hmm. So, anything to remind me that I'm working on that chakra, whether it be my mug or the food I eat or whatever, I have, there's so many different ways you can work on the chakras. There's not just one way. And, if you're interested in knowing all the different ways, then I really do advise you to look into the chakras more.
Absolutely. And if you can also think of it this way, everybody has been on a diet once or twice in their lives, right? Well, mm-hmm. For me, the chakras is a constant reminder of the menu that mm-hmm. you need to pay attention to be on a healthy spiritual path. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you pay attention to chakra 1 through 7, balance those. And the one thing that I didn't realize, Vina, is in practicing the chakras, is that I didn't realize that there was an end goal. So I was thinking, okay, I need to balance all of my chakras, and then I'm ta-da! But that's not how it works. The chakras are constantly fluctuating with our experiences in life, who we're around, our environment, our thoughts. So they're constantly fluctuating. So you never get there. You're on this diet and you lose 10 pounds. It doesn't work that way. It is something that you absolutely have to pay attention to daily. If you will.
Yes, that's a good point. Your body is the vehicle of your spirit, and it needs a tune-up. So that's why I tune up my chakras. Just like your car, you need to tune it up. We need to tune up our body. And what I do, and it's just my practice, I have this mala here, and it has 108 beads. 108 is a very good number in Hinduism. And I will say the mantra for each of the chakras 108 times. And then once I'm done doing that, I just feel amazing. And, you know, and if ever something happens in my day that gets me off balance, then I'll try to do something to get myself balanced again. You know, but it's something, you know, I mean, it's not just you do it once and you're done. You're right. It's something you need to do from time to time, and daily is great. You know, I mean, I'll start off my day doing my mantras, and then something happens at lunch and that upset me and got me off balance. So I'll have to work on myself to get back in balance again.
Exactly. And for me, I don't do the mantras very frequently, but I will walk out in nature, as you mentioned earlier. I will absolutely take some time out to meditate, because I can feel when my mind is racing and my body's feeling, you know, not so connected. I know when I need to sit down and meditate. And even if it's just for 10 minutes, you will feel amazing when you allow your brain to just take a break from all of those negative thoughts that you might be thinking, or from, you know, being in a room full of negative people. That, you know, removing yourself and thinking more positively will raise your vibration and get you, you know, more balanced so that you can tackle the rest of the day.
Right. And there are many on YouTube, many chakra meditations, beautiful music you can listen to. There are so many different ways. Now, whatever works for you. Now, mantra means, man means mind, and tra means vehicle, like train or transportation. So for me, I like doing mantras because you know, that's how I grew up. But whatever works for you. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very personal. It's going to be very individual. A lot of people say, well, I don't have time to do that, you know, but then, you know, there's so many other things you can do to get yourself centered and balanced. So Absolutely. You just got to find what works for you.
Exactly. Well, before I let you go, Veena, I wanted to talk about intuition. Mm-hmm. How can a person tap into their intuition? I tell people all the time, you have it within you. It's just your job to exercise it. So can you help those who are listening and watching to tap into their intuition?
Well, I think if you tap into your intuition, first you need to feel good. I mean, if you're sleepy or you're drowsy or you're tired, you know, you just have to be in a good emotional and physical condition first. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think, you know, some things I do, if I'm not certain, I'll go out into nature where, you know, I think you have to be at a place of peace and calm. And then you can, you know, you can hear it better. You can feel it better. You know, some people hear it, you know, they feel like they're hearing something. Some people get the feeling, and just, you know, sometimes take some deep breaths. And, you know, sometimes if you're still not sure, I think people, you know, we tend to doubt ourselves. And sometimes we need to go and talk to a spiritual friend. Like sometimes I'll reach out to you or somebody else who's my spiritual friend. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see if they are, you know, feeling the same way I am, and to get that confirmation. And if what they are saying resonates. Now, people have told us things, Felesha, that didn't resonate with us, even spiritual people.
Absolutely.
Yes. So it's very important that it resonates with you. It feels right to you. Mm-hmm. And you sometimes got to go with your gut and a leap of faith.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I am so blessed to have you in my life these almost 7 years. It has been a wonderful experience to be on a spiritual journey with someone who is open to connect spiritually without there being religious barriers or race barriers or any of that. It has been just a beautiful journey to know you.
Yes, I mean, you're an amazing friend, and I just always love, you know, your energy. And I remember the trip we went on to Myrtle Beach, and it was just amazing how we stayed at Hotel Blue, and then we went walking down the beach, and the next hotel was Indigo, which is the third eye chakra. Yeah. And then we saw Crown Hotel, which is this. So we were like, oh my goodness. Do you remember? So I think we had to go on that trip to work on our upper chakras.
Yes, yes. We caught many, many signs on that trip. I love it. And that's another thing that speaks to intuition. For those of you who are kind of confused, if you've ever gotten a notion to do something and then you talk yourself out of it, the first thought is your intuition speaking to you. And signs, just like Vina mentioned, we knew that we were being blessed on that trip because of the signs that we received. And not only that, it was one of the milestones for me, because there were things that I needed to work on that trip that I haven't had to deal with anymore, because it was a cleansing and healing experience there with Vina. So it was absolutely wonderful.
Yes, and that brings me another thought is the different chakras. Like for the root chakra, people go and walk. For the sacral chakra, some people take baths or go near an ocean. So even physical locations can help you with the chakra. I mean, going to the beach just empowers you, makes you just feel wonderful.
Yes,
so
it absolutely does. That's something that I need to be around often.
Yes. So I think people love going to the beach. So that's a great reason to go there. Just meditate, just be out in nature,
and and salt water as well. I mean, that's one reason.
And another thing is to stay balanced and centered is just to be in an attitude of gratitude. You don't focus on what's not going the way you if things aren't going the way you want, just you got to kind of shift your energy and just focus on the things that you're grateful for.
Absolutely. And you hear often, there's two sides to a coin. There is negative energy thinking, and then there's positive energy thinking. So that doesn't mean that Vina or I walk around in positive energy all the time, although I really wish I could. That would be great.
Yeah.
But we live real life experiences, real relationships, real challenges. And so we have used these tools enough to know that when we're too far in one direction, how to pull ourselves back to center.
We're all going to deal with challenges, and so we can fall to pieces. It's a choice, or we can just say, okay, this challenge is put in front of me, and just deal with it. But I think how we react is just very important, and it's important to stay emotionally balanced and centered, and not to go off the deep end. It's very important.
That's really the way that you can make sound decisions.
Yes.
You have to be in that headspace to make the next right decision for yourself. So very interesting. Vina, I want to ask you a personal question.
Sure.
I know that in the Black community, there is racism within our community. Dark skin, light skin. Is that something that is present in your community as well?
Oh, yes. Judgment, that, like the fair skin is better than darker skin, and competitiveness. My husband or son's a doctor. There's people trying to feel more superior, and those who try to make you inferior. I really don't try to get mixed up in all of that. I try to find my tribe, and some people will resonate with me, some people will not. And I think that's very important. I don't look at them with judgment, but if they don't resonate with me, if they're into competitiveness or judgment or laughing at people behind their back, no matter what culture there are, that doesn't resonate with me. I try to find my tribe and just try to be with people that think more along the lines I do. And I think that's what we need to do. That stuff exists out there, and we don't have any control over it, but we can control the people we hang out with and how we react to it.
I really appreciate your honesty, because I think that there's a myth out there, at least in my community, that the racism only exists in our community, but it is prevalent even in Africa, in India, in China, where, and I don't know where this notion of fairer skinned is supposed to be better, but Vina and I are here to let you know that it is the mind, body, spirit connection that you want to pay attention to, not the color of your skin, not whether or not you are attached to a particular religion. The true growth on this earth is your own spiritual growth, and there's so many paths to that. So we hope that what we've said to you will uplift you no matter where you find yourself in life today. And find a friend, find somebody that you can connect to, just like Vina. I mean, we've gotten a little busy now that you know, I've been traveling all over the country doing these seminars and my books and all of that. But we used to every month get together, and it was our time. It was the girl time. And it was truly a connection that I look forward to. And I still do. I miss it very much. So
Yes,
I have to get back to that, because it helps balance you as well.
Oh yeah, I loved our meetings, and you know, you made me think of something. Feelings of inferiority or superiority are imbalanced chakras. So if somebody thinks they're better than somebody else because of the color of their skin, that's a chakra that's not balanced, because God loves us all. God created us all. It doesn't matter if you're tall or short or dark or light or, you know, whatever. God loves you no matter what.
I love that. Well, you know what? I can't think of a better way to end. Vina, thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, and thanks for sharing your friendship.
Thank you so much. I feel very blessed to have you in my life, and I'm just so glad the universe put us together.
Me too. All right. Have a wonderful day, and thank you again.
Thank you.